who are the people behind the new foundation taking over the W.E.B Du Bois Centre? Why has government agreed to hand over this state property in the prime center of cantonment to them for a whopping 50 years, apparently for not a single pesewa? This is another example of the land grabbing scandal that keeps popping up in recent times. Or is there more to this deal than meets the eye? Super Morning show host Kojo Jansen took a closer look for us in this exclusive interview with the executive director of the Du Bois Foundation, Jofat Ayiku.
W.E.B. Du Bois had just 2 more years to live by the time Kwame Nkrumah brought him here to Ghana at the age of 93. This geriatric scholar was already known for his freedom-fighting credentials. Here to do a particular task for the government of Ghana, our first president put him right here in this cantonment bungalow, one of many built for government officials. 2 years after his arrival, W.E.B. Du Bois died and is buried here in Ghana. But in those 2 years, he achieved far more than most government officials of today are able to achieve in 8 years. Today, his legacy lives on and is a big source of attraction for many Pan-Africanists around the world. They consider this hallowed ground, a Mecca. But today, it's the center of controversy, because news that a foundation is to take over the management of this facility for 50 years has raised questions. But why live with questions when you can get answers? And that's why we're here, to speak to the head of that foundation, the executive director of the Du Bois Foundation. Let's meet Mr. Jafet Ayiku. Thank you for your time with us today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity to have a conversation with you.
Now, it's an important conversation because W.E.B. Du Bois has a respected legacy.
Yes.
He's a very important part of the Ghanaian story, but of the black story around the world.
Yes.
Tell us how you became involved with the Du Bois legacy.
Legacy, okay. So first of all, I really want to share with you, to the people of Ghana, that I'm here because on the 27th of August, next Tuesday, we are commemorating the 61st anniversary of his passing. It's very, very important part of our program here. We will have a symposium where Du Bois scholars from the US are coming to talk about the life and works of Du Bois. We have a scholar from the University of Ghana that will also chip in for that. Then later in the evening, we'll have a wreath laying. We've been doing this for the past 3 years. This we got involved with the Du Bois Center. But today, this one would be a special one because the President of Ghana has agreed to come to lay a wreath on behalf of the people and government of Ghana. Additionally, he's here to cut sword for one phase of the project that we have in mind. So the question about how did I get involved with this thing here? I'm a Ghanaian born. I was born here in Ghana. I went to school here, but I went to the US. I've been away for quite some time, 54 years. Along the way, I worked at JP Morgan Chase, I retired, and I started doing some non-profit work. I work with Jeffrey Sachs. We're here for 5 years, helping the Ghana government with Millennium Development Goals and all of that. And then we started working with a foundation called the Helping Africa Foundation. What we do is that we build computer centers. In fact, our mission is to build 1 computer center in each of the 16 regions of Ghana. We started in 2016. We're already finished. We have just 4 more to go. So the members of the board of that foundation includes Henry Louis Gate, Kwame Appiah, Michael Moran. These are individuals who are Du Bois scholars. And over time, they used to come here to visit the Du Bois Center. So they brought it to my attention. They said, Jafet, you're a Ghanaian. Have you been to the Du Bois Center lately? I said, no, I have not been. So we'll go and see what is happening at the Du Bois Center. It's falling apart. Can you help us do something about the Du Bois Center? So that's how I got involved in initial conversations and all of that, and we got into where we are today. So I think I'll leave it for you to sort of have some follow-up questions for that. But
so yeah. It sounds from what you've explained that you brought this idea to the government of Ghana.
That is correct.
Right. And your idea was to do what?
Yeah. So when they asked me to see if I can do something about the Du Bois Center, I said, yeah, I'll try and see what I can do. I had my first meeting with the then board of the Du Bois Center here at the Du Bois building. I said, I want to work with you guys to do something. They laugh at me in the beginning. They said, well, Japhet, you know, you Americans, you come, you talk, you go, we don't hear from you. And it's true. There are people that make promises they don't deliver. I said, no, this is different. I am a Ghanaian American. I promise you, if you guys will work with me, I'm going to change this place up. And I said, okay, fine. So they said, I asked them, give me your priorities. What are the priority items that you want to do here at the center? And I'll see what I can do. I got the priority items, and the first item on the list was for us to build a bungalow here for the director of the center. Kojo, I lost it. Really? Why a bungalow for the Du Bois director? He says, well, he works late. Why does he work late? He works late because he supervises parties and weddings and funerals at the center. Oh, nothing about Du Bois celebration? Nothing about Du Bois celebration. It is parties that he supervised, and he wants us to build a bungalow for him. I lost it. I said, no, something has to be done. So I started a conversation with the then government in power. This was 2016. We talked about possibly doing something here. The president at that time agreed that, yeah, it's a good idea. You know, maybe you guys can even look at the Padmore Library, which is another area that's falling apart. We agreed to do all of that. Of course, elections have consequences. 2016, they lost the election, so I have to start all over again. And I was fortunate enough to meet President Nado in March of 2019 at Harvard. Had a conversation with him, says, when you come to Ghana, come and visit. I met with him again in May of 2019 with my boss, Deborah Rose. Then we brought out the question, Mr. President, I have some people in the U.S. who are willing to help renovate the Du Bois Center. They say, yeah, it's a good idea. Go ahead and look into it. We're excited. We started a conversation. He came to New York in September of 2019. I gathered together the Du Bois scholars, Henry Louis Gates, Kwame Appiah, and others. We had a wonderful conversation. We talked about the possibilities, how we're going to redo the whole place up and all of that. He was very happy. We'd settle on an architect. Okay, it wasn't difficult to settle on David Ajay, who was the premier Ghanaian architect who built, whose design built the Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. So it wasn't too difficult to settle on him.
Who suggested him, you or the president?
No, see what? Henry Louis Gates is a friend of David Ajay. So David had done some work at Harvard. So Henry Louis Gates brought up his name. So yeah, that would be a good idea.
And Henry Louis Gates, of course, is a member of your board.
Yes, he's a board.
So it was the board that suggested David
That
Ajay,
is correct.
Not the government of Ghana.
No, not the government of Ghana at all. It was Henry Louis Gates who brought it because they are close friends. And within 3 months, he put out the whole architecture for the complex. We met with the president again in December. He liked it, and we said, okay, negotiate with the government, the ministry, to come up with an agreement. Of course, COVID hit. We're going back and forth and all that. I think we finally got an agreement last year that will enable us to do what we have set out to do. And I'm sure you want to know the details of the agreement.
I absolutely do. Starting with perhaps the one that has garnered the most controversy.
Yes.
50 years.
Yes.
Why 50 years?
Okay. Why 50 years? As a matter of fact, when we started the negotiation with the former government, they asked me, how long do you guys want to be here? The language that I used was, we want to be here for as long as the remains of Du Bois is interred here. Kojo? The language that I want to use was to be here for as long as the remains of Du Bois is interred here. And that is because over the period of 60 years, look at what has happened to the remains of Du Bois. Look at the place. This man is the greatest African-American intellectual of all times. And look at where he lies. But yesterday, the word of Du Bois might have stood against the world. Now lies him here, and none so poor to do him reverence. Shakespeare. Look at where he's lying. So we were very upset. And we said, no, are we going to be here for 10 years and then turn over the place to... would the Ghana government be interested in preserving and taking care of the remains of Du Bois? I don't think so. We didn't think so in the beginning. But they forced me and said, no, Japhet, you have to come out with an end date. I said 100 years. No, 100 years no good. So we settled on 50. Now, the 50 years, even that, I was advised that the Ghanaian government, the Ghanaian people will not buy the 50 years, so let's split it up. So it is split up between 30 and 20. That we're going to be here for the first 30 years. After that, we will meet with the then government in power and evaluate our relationship, how things are going. Is the Ghana government happy with the way that we're managing this place? Are we happy with the way that the Ghana government is treating us? Now, this is important because we're going to be raising $85 million in port in here. We are not taking a penny back to the US. Nobody, it's not a loan, it's a grant. It's a donation that people are going to pour in to build this place up. So, you know, you can't put money here and just walk away. So at the end of 30 years, when we examine our relationship, when we're happy with each other, we'll continue with the next 20 years. So I'm hoping that I'll be 120 years, and then I'll be talking to them. So that's what's happening. So it's not straight 50 years, it's 30, 20. And again, just to preserve what we are going to invest here, we think it's important for us to be here. Now, when I say us, I'm talking about the Du Bois experts, the people who care a lot about Du Bois. They are going to train Ghanaians. They're going to expose Ghanaians to the Du Bois legacy, to the African-American experience, so that they know that, yeah, this one is important, and we need to keep this place clean and make it a hallowed ground for Du Bois scholars, of people to come and visit here. That's all it is.
So who did you have that negotiation with? That settled on 50 years?
That settled on 50 years. The Minister of Tourism at that time, we started with, in fact, we dealt with 3 ministers. One was Otin Jesse, Barbara Otin Jesse. We started with her. We had an MOU. And then Honorable Awal, Ibrahim Awal, also came in, and we talked about the 30, 50 years and all that. And then finally, we have this new Minister Mesa. But the agreement was concluded essentially on the Ibrahim Awal. And I got to tell you also that we had difficulty in moving forward with this agreement. And Honorable Kuma, of blessed memory, okay, I never even got a chance to thank him. Honorable Kuma came into the conversation. And he's the man who drove, okay, the discussion for us to complete this agreement here. May he rest in peace.
So the agreement was that you will run this place for 50 years, split into 30 and 20. Yes. At the end of 30, there'll be an assessment.
Yes.
And then if everything is going well, another 20
yes.
is added.
Yes.
So during that period,
yes.
What does government of Ghana get? Okay.
Right now, the government of Ghana gives a budget to run the place. As far as we know, there's nothing that comes out of here that the government is making. It is a place where they are proud that people come to visit.
Do they not make any money from the event center?
So, no, it's supposed that whatever they make here is internally generated funds that they're supposed to use to maintain the place and to pay for the workers that are here. That's how our understanding is in terms of the financial operation over here, and then the government supplements whatever they're able to raise. When we take over and start our operation, Kojo, there is a language in the agreement that says that in the new complex, at the end of every year, we will, the foundation will give to the Ghana government 5% of our net revenue to support other institutions in the country, such as the castle, such as the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum and all that. We'll be willing to do that. And it's interesting, it's an interesting clause, because when they put that clause in there, the lawyers at the Ministry of Finance said, no, you cannot do that. You cannot force a non-profit organization to give back, because technically we're not supposed to make any money. Non-profit, they don't make any money. Whatever they do goes into the operation of the foundation, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. But nevertheless, we said we crafted a language that says that we will voluntarily support other institutions in the country with 5% of our revenue at the end of the year. Now, we don't know how much we're going to be making, because what we want to do really is to make this place as free as possible for Ghanaians, number one, to learn about Du Bois and the legacy of Du Bois' contribution to the world and all of that, and then the other African countries. So essentially, we're not looking at charging all kinds of monies here. We just want this place to be a place where people will come and study the Du Bois legacy, publish, to do the research, and know that, wow, this great African American help us in our emancipation, the whole of the African continent, and all of that. So,
now this is very valuable land.
Yes.
Right here in cantonments. It's worth millions of dollars. Once you've finished your project, and I've seen the plans,
Yes.
once you've completed the project, there are going to be several complexes here.
Yep.
There's going to be a memorial, a very beautifully designed memorial, designed by David Ajay.
Yep.
There's going to be a big multi-story building with a library in
Yes.
there and a
Museum.
state-of-the-art museum. There's
Yes.
going to be a sort of a conference facility, if
Yes.
you will. All manner of revenue-generating facilities
Right.
here on this valuable government land.
right,
Now, for this 50-year period,
right.
these facilities will generate some revenue.
Well, we hope so, yeah.
Yeah. Is it a fair deal for the government of Ghana, being the owner of this multi-million dollar land, once you've completed your project, to be getting just 5% of your net revenue,
Yeah.
rather than a substantial amount of whatever income these new facilities bring in?
Yeah. Okay. So, could you? That's an interesting question, and that is because all the revenues that are going to be made are going to be plowed back into the operation of the center. Nobody's taking any money out of the country. If we make a penny today, we're going to plow back in there. Now, we are not quite sure how much money we're going to be making out of these 9 things that you're mentioning here. So our aim is that of the $85 million that we're raising, a substantial amount of that, maybe $20 million or $50 million of that, will go into an endowment. We are looking to run this place on an endowment, okay, where we are going to set aside the money to make sure that this place is run properly. That the facilities are kept well. Something that breaks, we'll fix it right away. That we have the right people to run the place, because running a museum or a library is not cheap. And we want to have the best people so we can pay them well. So I'm not quite sure how much money we're talking about generating out of all here. And again, as I said, it's important for us to use this complex not as a commercial enterprise. We're not looking at it as a commercial enterprise. We are looking at it as an educational enterprise to bring pride to the Ghanaian, the African, and the people that believe in Du Bois. Wow, this is a place for us to be. So commercialization is very, very low on our radar. But nevertheless, we said whatever the net revenue is, we are going to have revenue sharing with the Ghana government. Now, do you want us to walk away? We can walk away, and the place will still be where it is. If there's any competitive idea from the government or from somebody else that we're going to put up a commercial structure over here, it's a different story. But as far as we know, this is supposed to be a sacred ground for Du Bois, and therefore commercialization doesn't come into place. So we're not looking at how much money we're going to be making. No, we are looking at the content of the place, educating the children of Ghana and Africa about the contribution of Du Bois, the father of civil rights movement, the son of the global movement for racial justice and equality, and the father, the son, and the spirit of the Pan-African movement.
Now let's talk about the governance structure. It's another issue that has been raised.
Right.
As we understand it, there will be a board governing this place, and you will be the chair of that board. There will be some 3 slots on that board to be taken up by representatives of government or nominees of the president.
Right.
The suggestion here is that for a facility that is really, even under your management, still under the auspices of the state, the expectation is that the state will play a stronger role in its governance. For example, why can the chair not be nominated by the state?
Okay. Yeah. So I want to also add a couple of points to the agreement, and that is that in the agreement it says that 2 years after we have taken over, something called commencement date. 2 years after the commencement date, that is beginning September 21st, 2023, within those 2 years, we have to raise $13 million. And this is, again, to guard against any waste of time and resources, okay? We're supposed to show that we have raised $30 million towards the project. If we're unable to raise the $30 million in the 2 years, we have to sit with the government or Ghana officials and discuss it and say, well, what were the challenges that you face and all of that. So that's also a guardrail that was put in the agreement to ensure that, you know, this is not something that we're just walking away from. So within 2 years, we have to demonstrate that we have raised $30 million, and then everybody's happy with them. We'll continue with the project and all that. So I just want to mention that in there. Now, about the governance of the place. We believe that we are the ones who are bringing in the money. The $85 million is going to be raised by us. The government is not going to be involved. We're not going to take any money from all that. So we believe that to pump the money in there, we have to have the majority of the board membership. So that's something that we argue back and forth with the minister, and he ceded to that, okay, fine, we get some ceded. This is supposed to be, it's very important. We wanted to establish a standalone, non-profit entity without any interference from the Ghana government, so that we can be able to bring all of the resources, all of the ideas and all of that. That's exactly what we wanted to do. So we agree that the Ghana government will have 3 seats on the 9-member board. If we increase it, they also have more seats on that. About the chairmanship for the board, yeah. I am leading the effort. I have the dream of this project here, and I'm going to let it be somebody else take it, and somebody who's not passionate about it. I will not agree to that. You have to be passionate about what we are trying to do, because we have a lot of work to do. And that's why I believe that we'll have to retain the majority as well as the leadership of the board. It's that simple. Yeah.
Now, when this arrangement comes up for review in 30 years' time,
yep.
God willing, you'll be about 120 years old by then.
Yes.
What's plan B, just in case, you know, God decides he needs you for other services before that date?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm only teasing that. I'm gonna be, no,
yeah, but what's the succession plan?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the chair, is there a duration?
Absolutely. There's, the chair, I don't even think is more important as much as the executive director of the center who's going to be running the day-to-day affairs. At some point, I'm going to retire. I really want to lead this effort to try to raise the money and get this thing done, and then we're going to have a wonderful celebration and dedication in 2028. That's really my goal. After that, we can talk about, you know, what else is happening and all of that. I'm not a Du Bois scholar. My background is in banking. You know, I just have the enthusiasm and the drive and the dream to make this thing happen. And I think in some ways, I just go back to, I think when I was 14 years old, I came across Source of Black Folk, and I couldn't read it. Somehow I was able to memorize the first paragraph of the 2nd chapter, which stayed with me for more than 60 years. The problem of the 20th century. I think Du Bois was even wrong, thinking that the problem of the 20th century is a color line. The problem of our whole century, the whole humanity, is a color line. The relationship between the darker skinned people of Africa and Asia and the lighter skinned people of Europe is still going on today, Kojo. African Americans are being shot and killed all the time. Why? They are being denied job opportunities. Why? They are being denied housing opportunities. Why? Because of the color of our skin. So this problem of the color line, we are still trying to find answers for that. And that's what this Bois Center is going to be, to find answers for the problem of the color line. How do we live together as human beings without looking at color? That's the question. That's why I'm excited about this project, that we can find answers to the problem of the color line, that we can find answers at this center for our own challenges as Africans. How do we govern ourselves? Kojo, Du Bois wrote about a double consciousness. You and I are going through double consciousness, but we don't know that. We're colonized by the Europeans. They gave us some ideas, so we don't even know who we are as our own identity. Double consciousness. We're going through all of that. We have accepted and adopted the European way of governing ourselves. Is it working really well for us? Democracy is not an easy system to live under. Even in the US, they are struggling. You have to have a powerful press. You have to have a powerful judiciary, independent, to do the right thing, to ask the questions and all that. And the citizens may be smart enough to read and to question things and to agitate. Are we doing that in our country? I don't think so.
And that is deep. Although, I mean, I'm still hoping for a more specific answer to the question about the succession.
Oh,
Yes,
so,
you made
yes. Well,
so what is the plan in place?
Okay, so now I'm the executive director. We're going to have a deputy executive director. We're going to be training the person to take over at some point. The board, we haven't even met yet. When we meet, we're going to have vice chairman of the board, and then we'll see how things go, and we'll come up with our own succession plan. We'll come up with our own governance systems and all that. So I don't think that's a big issue. I mean, if I drop there now, there are some people that can take over. There's a gentleman that I've been working with, W.E.B I think, is a great friend of mine. He is learning more about what we've been doing. If I drop dead now, I think he can take over and drive this thing here. But God is good. I'll be around.
Amen. So it will be the board that makes the decision, in your absence of who is to take over.
That is correct.
Forth.
Yep.
Right. Now, listening to you, one might come to the conclusion that until your arrival, really, nothing was happening here. No value was derived from this facility. Government was basically achieving nothing with it. It was of no worth until you came along like a knight on a white horse to save it. Is that, I mean, your critics tend to find themselves very displeased by this concept.
Okay.
That the government, seems to have been doing nothing until you came along.
Okay. So Kojo, I never said that we are knights on the shining armor coming to save the place. I never said that. All I'm saying is that we came in 2015, 14, 15. We looked at the condition of the center, and we began to ask ourselves, what is going on here? This center is supposed to be a property of the Ghana government under the Ministry of Tourism. People come here all the time. They collect fees from them. And the fees is supposed to be used to maintain the place. Have you seen the books that Du Bois left behind? The papers in the books. They are all rotten, they are decaying. It is sad to see the condition of the books. Have you seen the condition of where he lies? The carpet is dirty and filthy. Nobody sort of cares. So the question is, why don't people care about this place? And all we are trying to do is to say that, listen, we have people with the expertise and the willingness to pour money into this place here, to fix it up, to make it into a global institution and heritage site, and of all things, boys. And that we are willing to pour the money in there. But if it remains a government property, we'll not get anybody to sign $5–10 million check to go to the Ghana government. It won't happen. Nobody will do that. So this place has to be a standalone entity governed by International Board of Directors. That's all that presented to them. And if they say they had ideas to do, well, by all means, they should have done that. And if they think they have the money now, the government wants to do it, and they want to stop us, we can stop. We can stop what we plan to do and just do some other things. We're doing I'm doing a lot of work in Ghana with other organizations. As I mentioned to you, we're building computer centers all over the country. One computer center, 50-seater computer center in all of the 16 regions of Ghana. It's a noble idea. We're really replicating it to all over Africa. We're in Liberia, we're in Sierra Leone, we're going to other places. We are trying to get the Ghana government to buy into it so that every constituency in Ghana will have a computer center. I'm pushing that agenda as well. So if somebody says that they have 10 million, 5 million, $7 million to redo the Du Bois Center by the Ghana government and they want to stop us, by all means, we'll find our way. But the Du Bois story is a great story.